Hi guys, I am Dan. Welcome back to my channel. Today let's talk about all the amazing fantasy books I'm going to read in July. If you have followed me long enough, you will know that I usually put 4. Recently, I upped my game to put 5 books to my monthly TBR, but this month I am going to be away for a weekend, so I am not too certain and confident that I can finish this goal. So this month I will do a system called the 4+1 books. It sounds fancy, but literally it means that I will still put 4 books to my monthly TBR. They are the books that I am desperately need to read, and then there will be an optional one to see how much time I have left in that month. Otherwise, it will just probably go to the next month's TBR. This month we are still going to play the TBR game where you guys gonna vote for my very first book to read in that month. But this time it is not the first book, it's gonna be the second book to read in this month because I have a book that I am really want to read. The book gonna receive the highest vote in this poll gonna be the second book I'm gonna read in July. I will put up a poll on my community tab by the time you're watching it. After going through all the books on my TBR, feel free to head to the poll and vote. Now we can chat about all the books that I am going to read in July. First of all, I have series that I have started before. The first one and the most important one is The Burning God by R.F. Kuang, the last book of the Poppy War series. Do I need to explain much? This one is probably my favorite series so far in 2024, and it is also the first book I'm going to read in July. We follow our main character, Rin, who was a war orphan and got a chance to study in a very good war academy. Later, with the invasion from the Federation of Mugen, these students has to go to the front line and defend their country, their home. In the first book, we're gonna witness the horror of war. Coming to the second war, we are still following Rin. After this war, the warlord of the Dragon Province decided to set up a republic to replace this corrupted empire. Rin at this point won't forgive the Empress, thinking that she is responsible for the invasion and the death of her close ones. Seeing they share the same purpose to kill the Empress, Rin decided to join this rebellion to fight against this empire. But of course there's gonna be more about this agenda. It is not simply to set up a republic for the welfare of the public. What I do like about this series is how R.F. Kuang has successfully translated history into a fantasy world. I have done 2 videos for the first 2 books which are about all the historical references. If you love Poppy War, go and check it out. I think The Burning God is going to be inspired by the Chinese Civil War, where Rin is representing Mao Zedong because she is going to mobilize the rural, while Naja is Chiang Kai-shek, the founder of the Republic of China. I am a big fan of this series, so I can't wait to check the last book of this series, and it is also the first book I'm going to read in July. And then I have the Crome Campaign by Brian McKinnon, the second book of the Powder Mage trilogy. I read the first book, The Promise of Blood, last month, and I didn't expect I would love it so much. This series is giving steampunk military fantasy vibe, even though this is not mentioned anywhere officially, but I just find this series, I guess, is inspired by the French Revolution or the Napoleonic era. Why I would say so is because of the setting of this series. The first book begins with a coup by the Powder Mage led by our main character Thomas to overthrow this corrupted monarchy. The first half of the first book is going to be about Thomas, how he gonna handle the instability after the coup and also dealing with the relationships with the neighboring nations. And then we have his son Daniel, who was ordered by his father to hunt down this powerful privilege, someone that can wield magic in this world. Thomas also asked a retired police inspector, Adamet, to investigate a mysterious message that seems to be about the god. Then coming to the second half of the first book, there will be a traitor within Thomas' close circle and he asked Adamet to investigate about it. Tanya has to defend the nation from an invasion. I found this book is so different from other fantasy series. Firstly, we have a mix of magic systems. First of all, we have the privilege, those who can wield the elements like fire, like wind. And then we have a newer kind of magic system called the Powder Mage, where you can use the gunpowder to enhance your senses and give you a better gunshot. And we also have the Naked, which is like a minor magical power. Let's say you don't have to rest too much or you can tell lies from the truth. Maybe I am too into good old epic fantasy series, so when fantasy started to use gun, I may not like it because I think it is like too modern in a sense. But this series put these two kinds of very different magic system, like the use of gun versus the old school magic system, into the story but not in an awkward way. Other than that, this book is so heavy with politics and action scenes which I am totally into. The details are so closely related, so when you read it, you just want to keep digging about what is actually going on. With how the first book ends, I am so curious what's gonna happen next. The last series I want to keep up with is Of War and Ruin by Ryan Cahill, the third book of the Bound and the Broken series. It is an epic fantasy series with multi-POV, and this book is massive, it is thick. It is over 1400 pages long and probably the longest so far in it. I honestly don't know where to start with this book, but this series is like all you can eat in an epic fantasy series. You will have magic, you will have dragon, and all the mythical creatures you can name. How the series begins is like the good old classic fantasy series. We're gonna follow three main characters, Kellen, Rist, and Dan. For some reasons, they joined the rebellion group led by a character called Asen against the Lorien Empire. With the ending of the first book, Kellen was separate from the main group and they have to find a way home. Most importantly, he bonded with a dragon, a creature that is nearly extinct in this world. And then we have Kaden's sister, Ella, who left the village because of love. On her way to somewhere safe, she met someone who is dangerous and actually looking for Kaden. Starting in the second book, we have two new POVs. First of all, we have Dane, who fight against the Empire, and in the second novella, we know more about his past and his companion, Benina. The second new POV is Kadenfer, who has actually appeared in the first novella, The Fall. So if you want to go into this series, you really need to check all those novellas out, otherwise you will miss quite a lot of the world building. This world is really complex and full of details. I found this series so far is entertaining and I hope that this break is gonna worth it. So that's all the series I either want to finish or catch up with. Then the last of my 4 books to read is actually from a subscription, the Gospel GSFF. It is the June GSFF book and it is The Lord of Empty Hours by Jules Aubergs. Sorry, my pronunciation is bad again. I haven't got this book in my hand yet, but just by looking at the photo of it, I found this book looks so beautiful. It is a sci-fi celebrating queer identity. It is about our main character, Remy. His brother was dead 5 years ago because of a curse imposed by another character called Adrian. Now Remy tries to return the favor but only make himself fate-bound to this killer, Adrian. To slow down this curse imposed by himself by accident, Remy has to work with Adrian, but he finds that Adrian is not a bad person at all. Adrian is helping tens of thousands of innocents by providing life-saving supplies. With not too much time left, Remy finds himself living again after his brother's death. I am not too sure what to expect with this book, and it is not something that I usually read, and if I see this book in a bookshop, I probably won't get it just by looking at the synopsis. I guess this book will be leaning on the romantic side, so let's see will I like it. So coming to the really last one, which is the optional one, and it is The Water Outlaws by S.L. Huang. Just by looking at the title of this book, I know this one is inspired by one of the 4 classic Chinese novels, Water Margins. The original story is about a group of 108 outlaws gathered at the Mount Nian to rebel against the government. Coming to this book, it is about Lin Chong. In Water Margins, it was a man, but coming to this fantasy book, it is a woman. She originally trained the Empire's soldiers, but because of a man interrupting her peaceful life, now she is a criminal. Luckily, she is recruited by the bandits of Lianshan, a group of outlaws aimed to free women from this empire. I know 1 or 2 stories from Water Margins, the book that is inspired by, but I am not too sure what will swapping the gender of the characters will bring, so I'm actually quite eager to find it out. So here are all the books I want to read in July. The Burning God would be the first book I will read in this month, so now you can head to the community and vote for the second book I will read in this month. If you have enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a like. If you don't want to miss any content from me, make sure you have subscribed to my channel. I will see you real soon. Goodbye.